All right, the next one, we are required to calculate the fixed assets that were purchased during the year, right? The fixed assets that were purchased during the year. So now, when it comes to fixed assets sold or purchased, right? Fixed assets sold or purchased, we use what we call the 5-figure method, right? We use what we call the 5-figure method, right? Which is the carrying value at the beginning, additions, disposals, depreciation, and carrying value at the end. Right now, you use the 5-figure method to either calculate your additions or your disposals. It depends on the activity at that moment. Right now, for the 2025 project, we were required to calculate our additions. Hashtag what? The fixed assets purchase. So this is what we are going to calculate. Everything else, it's a matter of copy and paste to apply the bottom-up method. Then you're done. This is literally going to take less than 5 minutes, right? Now let's start. We go to information B. How much do we have as fixed assets at carrying value at the beginning of the year? We have 1,350,000, right? 1,350,000. And how much do we have at the end of the year? We have 1,400,000, right? We have 1,400,000. Go to information A. How much do we have as our depreciation? We have 95,600, which must be in brackets, right? Then we go down to information D, where they told us that an old vehicle was sold for 75,000 at carrying value during the year, right? So you go to your disposals, you open brackets, you record the 75,000, which is an old vehicle that was disposed or sold, right? Then everything else has been copied and pasted. Then looking for additions, you apply the bottom-up method. Carrying value at the end plus depreciation plus disposals minus carrying value at the beginning, you have the fixed assets purchased, right? So we're going to say 1,400,000 plus 95,600 plus 75,000 minus 1,350,000. 1,350,000. We have we purchased a new asset to the value of 220,600. This is how we use the 5-figure method to either calculate your disposals or your additions. Whatever I did with disposals, you do the same. So whatever I did with additions, you do the same with disposals. Right, now, the next note to the cash flow statement that we have. Guys, whatever that I'm doing here, it's what we call notes to the cash flow statement. We have cash generated from operations, tax paid, fixed assets sold or purchased, dividends paid, and the net change in cash and cash equivalents. That is what we are currently doing, right? We are preparing the notes to the cash flow statement before the full cash flow statement, right? Right, I know that on the question paper, we were only required to prepare 3 notes, but I'm going to prepare all 5 with you, right? On the question paper, we are done with the notes that were required on the question paper. I'm just extending the content and whatsoever. But besides the fact that I'm extending it, when preparing the full cash flow statement, we're still going to have to prepare those other additional notes. So let's just prepare the notes, then we're just going to take everything that we've calculated, copy and paste on the full cash flow statement. Simple as that. Now, the next thing, or the next note that we're going to prepare, it is what we call dividends paid. Right, we prepare what you call dividends paid. I doubt that is visible enough on the phone. Right, we prepare what you call dividends paid. Very simple. You only add 2 things. You say what? The previous final dividends plus the current interim dividends. Previous final dividends, it is also known as what? It is also known as shareholders for dividends. Shareholders for dividends for when? For 2023. Obviously, for the purpose of this activity, we're going to use the shareholders for dividends for 2020. We say the previous final dividends. On your question paper, on your information, they are not going to write previous final dividends. No, they're going to write shareholders for dividends. The reason why I say previous final dividends, it is for the purpose of your understanding. Simple as that, right? Now, let's calculate that. We look at our information. We go to information B. How much do we have as shareholders for dividends for 2023? We have 164,000, right? 164,000. That is our previous final dividends or our shareholders for dividends for 2023. Then how much do we have as the current interim dividends? We go to information G. Right, we go to information G. On 31 December 2023, interim dividends of 102,020 were declared and paid. That's all. We don't care about the rest of the transaction. The most important part of the transaction, it ends where they say it was paid. 102,020, that is our interim dividends for this year. 102,020. Then we say 164,000 plus 102,020. We have 164,000 plus 102,020. We have 266,020 as our dividends paid. Simple as that. Right. The next or the last note under the cash flow statement, or the last note to the cash flow statement, we've got note number 5, which is the net change in cash and cash equivalents, right? The net change in cash and cash equivalents, right? Very simple. We're just focusing on our cash and cash equivalents, right? Now, for the net change in cash and cash equivalents, we're going to say the cash and cash equivalents at the beginning plus bank minus bank overdraft. Cash and cash equivalents at the end plus bank minus bank overdraft. You get the two totals, balance at the end minus balance at the beginning. You have your net change in cash and cash equivalents. Then you're done. Simple as that. We start. Focusing on 2023. How much do we have as cash and cash equivalents in 2023? We have 87,400. 87,400. Still focusing in 2023. Do we have a bank or bank overdraft? We do not have any of that, right? We don't have bank, we don't have bank overdraft. Therefore, the 87,400, it remains the way it is, right? Go to 2024. How much do we have as cash and cash equivalents in 2024? We have 39,000. We have 39,900. Am I sure? Yes, we have 39,900. Still under 2024, do you have a bank or bank overdraft? We have a bank overdraft of 62,950, right? We have a bank overdraft of 62,950. Now, to get the balance at the end, you're simply going to say 39,900 minus 62,950. We have an outflow of 23,050 rands. 23,050 rands is an outflow. Then, to get the net change in cash and cash equivalent, to say balance at the end minus balance at the beginning. Negative 23,050 minus 87,400. You have outflow of 110,450. 110,450. That is how we simply prepare the net change in cash and cash equivalents.